great chance for you to grow your brain on our lovely new Tuesday. So second grade, of course, up next we got math, and we're continuing what we were working on yesterday, comparing three-digit numbers together. But like always, we're taking it a step up every single day. So let's check out our Tuesday learning target. It says, I can compare three-digit numbers using the symbols for less than and greater than. So as we mentioned, second grade, we are working to continue comparing three-digit numbers. That means we're looking at two three-digit numbers and we're finding and discussing what's similar and what's different between the value of these numbers. They're hundreds, tens, and ones. We're taking this comparison and we're using language, math vocabulary to express it. Yesterday, we were learning about less than and greater than. This is language we can use when we create a number sentence and we're trying to explain the comparison or the relationship between three-digit numbers. We can use less than and greater than. That's the vocabulary we were learning. Yesterday we were working just with those words. But today we're working with symbols. We're working with symbols. Our symbols are going to represent the words less than and greater than. Symbols are something we use all the time in our life. Our letters and our numbers, the digits, they are all symbols. So you see this 3 right here? This squiggly little line, that's a symbol for the word 3. And 3, of course, we know represents a group of 3. 1, 2, 3. So this 3, this drawing, is a symbol that represents the word 3. And that's what we're going to learn about today. We're going to learn the symbols that represent the words less than or greater than, so we can write even quicker number sentences. Okay, so before we get to the symbols, let's review that vocabulary we were learning yesterday. So second grade, the first way we learned about how to talk when we're comparing numbers was less than. We could say a number is less than another one. So less than means a number is smaller than another one. It has less value. So if one number is smaller than another, it's less than. These two words talk about the same idea, but our math term is to use less than. A number is less than. So if less than means smaller, what about greater than? One number is greater than another. We could also say a number is, it's bigger. It has way more value. It's bigger than another number. So when we're using greater than, we're describing the comparison that one number is bigger than another, greater than. So these terms are the math vocabulary we have been using and we're going to continue using all week. This is how we use our language to talk about relationships between two numbers. But today, we're going to take this language out and replace it with symbols. So let's start with less than. But if we were to put these words into a symbol, this is what it would look like. We would have a little sideways V. Can you make a V with your hands? But be really careful. Look, how is this V facing? What is the direction of the V? This is super, super important when we're using these symbols. For less than, this opening, the little opening part of the symbol, is going to the right. It's facing the second number. That's because we're always reading our sentences from left to right. And when we're saying a number is less than another, we are saying that this first number is smaller, but the second number is bigger. And with our comparison symbols, this little open mouth is always facing the bigger number. It's always opening towards the bigger number. And when we say less than, we're telling someone that that second number is the bigger number. You could also think about it as an alligator mouth. In an alligator mouth, it wants to chomp the bigger number. So with less than, we know first is small, a number is less than the second bigger number. So the alligator mouth is going to go towards the bigger number. It's open and ready to eat the bigger number. That's another silly way to think about it, but I think this image can really stick well in our heads. Let's look at an example. So we've been working with this number sentence before. 1 is less than 2. It all depends on the first number and its relationship to the second. We know 1 is smaller, so 1 is less than 2. If we were going to write this comparison with symbols, we would show the V facing the larger number, facing away from the 1, because the 1 is the smaller number. When we're writing this sentence with symbols, we can see that our comparison is facing away from 1. It's away, because 1 is the smaller number, and that's why we used our language, 1 is less than 2. When the symbol is facing away from that first number, we know 1 is smaller. Whew. Okay, second grade. So this is just the first symbol for less than. When we're using these symbols, it all depends on the direction that opening is facing. So, if less than goes to the right, what about greater than? Greater than, the symbol is going to face the left. It's going to be facing and opening towards this first number. So it's going to be looking towards the left. That is because that opening always faces that bigger number. And when we're saying greater than, we're explaining that the first number is biggest. A number is greater than a second. So this first number is the bigger one of the two. And we can also see this as an alligator mouth. We've got our alligator and he's hungry and he's facing the bigger number, which is first when we're saying greater than, because the alligator wants to eat the bigger number. And in greater than, we're saying that this first number is the bigger one. It's greater than the second, so the opening is going to face that bigger number. Let's see it as an example. So, we have the same numbers, but now we've switched it so it changes our language and our symbol. Before we've been writing 2 is greater than 1. 2 is the bigger number. It has more value. So its relationship is that it's greater than 1. So when we write it with our symbols, we can see that our comparison is facing to the left. It's facing the bigger number, that's where it's open. So because our symbol is open to the left, we know that first number is bigger. So this reads that 2 greater than 1. Because this opening is showing that 2's the bigger number. So we are going to practice, of course, and you are going to need your whiteboard or notebook out. Your whiteboard or notebook. But you've been working really hard to listen to me, so let's give ourselves a break and stand on up. Awesome, people. Okay, are we standing? Giving ourselves a nice movement break. So, I've got a question for you. Which one of these are you more scared of? Which of these is a bigger fear for you? The dark? If so, you're going to spin for 5 seconds. Or are you more scared of heights? If so, you're going to swim for 5 seconds. So, take your pick. You're more scared of the dark or heights? What do you think? I'm way more scared of heights, so I'm going to swim for 5 seconds. You got your pick? You on your feet? Okay, 5 seconds. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Good job moving your body. Okay, sit right back down. Take a nice deep breath. Get your whiteboard out or your notebook, whatever you like to use. And let's get ready to use our symbols and compare. So on your board, I need you to write or draw what you see up here. 26 first, with this circle in the middle, and then 25. So I want you to draw or write that on whatever you've got. This circle in the middle is waiting for us to complete with the correct symbol. We're going to draw the right symbol for less than or greater than that's going to complete this number sentence and correctly compare 26 to the number 25. So, let's see, second grade. In 26 to 25, what do you notice about the tens place? Let's look at the tens place. What do you see? In 26 and 25, what do you notice? They have the same amount of tens. They both have 2 tens. So that's the same. And we're looking for what's different. So now can we check out the ones place? What do you notice about the ones place? Is there a difference between these two numbers? 26 has 6 ones, but 25 has 5 ones. What does that tell us? 26 is less than or greater than 25. Is it bigger or smaller? It's bigger because 6 ones is more than 5 ones. So 26 is greater than 25 because 6 ones is more than 5 ones. So second grade, now that we've looked really closely at the place value and have decided that 26 is greater than 25, we need to fill in this circle with the correct symbol. Let's see, if it's greater than, where is the opening of the symbol going to face? What do you think? Greater than, can you fill it in? It's going to be going towards 26 because remember, the opening always faces the bigger number. So in greater than, that's this first number. 26 is greater than 25. So we have to open our symbol towards 26. Okay, that was just the first one. Let's try a second one together. Okay, can you look down here? Either on still your whiteboard or on your notebook, whatever you need, I want you to write this as well. We've got 214, and we need to compare it to 124. So how are we going to do this? Let's start by looking at the hundreds. So second grade, between these two numbers, what do you notice about the hundreds? Similar, different? In 214, there's two hundreds, but 124, there's 100. So what has more value? 200s or 100? 200s. 200s is bigger than 100. Therefore, that tells us, what's the bigger number? 214. 214 is bigger. So then is it less than or greater than 124? It is greater than as well. 214 is greater than 124 because, why is that? Because 200s is greater than 100. That was the difference that we noticed that told us how to compare these numbers. Okay, second grade. So if this first number is bigger, 214 is greater than 124, what symbol are we going to write to show this? Where will the opening be for our symbol? Greater than. It has to face. Can you write it? It has to face that first number because the opening has to face the bigger number. And when we're saying greater than, that's the first number in our sentence. 214 is greater than 124. So, Super Scholars, on both of these examples, our comparing symbol was facing this first number because it was the bigger one. That was the greater than number. Okay, I've got two more we're going to work on. So whatever you've got right now, everybody let's reset, and keep going. Okay, are you nice and reset? Got a fresh sheet, whatever you got. Let's look at our next comparison. So can you write this on your board? We've got 420, and we're going to compare it to 390. We need to use the correct language and symbol to complete this number sentence. So let's see. What about the hundreds? What do you notice about the hundreds and each number? Similar, different, what do you think? 420 has 4 hundreds, but 390 has 3 hundreds exactly. And what has more value? 4 hundreds or 3 hundreds? What's bigger? 400s. 420 is the bigger number. So knowing that, second grade, what language can we use? 420 is then 390. What would we say? It's the bigger number. So it's greater than 390. 420 is greater than 390 because, what was our reason? Because 400s is greater than 300s. We were comparing the hundreds place to figure out which number was greater. Okay, but what about the symbol? We've got our language, greater than, but how are we going to show that with a symbol? Where are we going to write it? What's it going to look like? This first number is greater, so the opening has to face the greater number, which in this case is the first number. 420 is greater, so our opening has to go to the left. Okay, second grade. So let's look at one more. So keep whatever you've got, and now underneath or next to it, I want you to draw this number sentence. We're going to compare 138 to 183. They look similar, but they're different. Let's see, you got it down? What about the hundreds? What do you notice about the hundreds between these numbers? Similar, different? They're the same. They both have 100. So those are the same, but we're looking for the differences. So let's go to our next place value. Let's look at that tens place. What do you notice about the tens place, second grade? What do you see? The tens place. 138 has 3 tens, but 183 has 8 tens. So what has more value, second grade? What is more? 3 tens or 8 tens? Which one's bigger? 8 tens. 8 tens has more value. So that means 138 is the smaller number because it has less tens. So if we know 138 is smaller, what would we say? It's 138 is less than 183. Since we always have to go by the first number. And second grade, 138 is less than 183 because, what was our reason? Because 3 tens is less than 8 tens. So we also have to talk about why we know that. And in this case, we were comparing the tens place. Okay, final last thing. We know 138 is less than. So how would we show that with a symbol? Which direction is our opening going to face? Can you write it on your page? 138 is less than 187 because our first number is smaller. That opening has to go towards the right. It has to eat the bigger number. And this first number is smaller, so this opening is going to go away. It's going to eat that second bigger number. Woo! Would you take a look at all this awesome work, second grade? So we're taking our language and we're using symbols to represent that language as well. So we're about to take all this knowledge with us and show it on a Dojo worksheet. So let me pull it up so I can show you what your task is. Okay, so your Dojo worksheet looks very similar to the one you were using yesterday, except your task is changing. So up top, your job is to fill in the circle with the symbols less than or greater than to complete the sentence. So you've got a little key right down here. If you get confused, you can show that less than opens to the right and greater than opens to the left because it's always facing that bigger number. So you've got 5 sentences to complete on this sheet. For each one, you're going to take a look between the 2 numbers and figure out which one's bigger, which one's smaller. Depending on the order of those numbers, depending on this first number in relationship to the second number, then you're going to figure out greater than or less than. What describes this comparison? Instead of writing out the words, you need to write the symbol. So all you're going to write is the sideways V in the correct direction to show less than or greater than. This requires you to look really carefully at the value of each number, which depends on the place of its digits. And then also paying close attention to less than or greater than and what symbol represents that language. So really make sure you're checking this key to make sure your less than or greater than symbol matches what you were trying to say. So this is really going to require you to work carefully, second grade, and check your work. Okay, awesome people. So I can't wait to see your next work comparing 3-digit numbers with symbols. So let's go ahead, get all your knowledge with you, and get this dojo sheet started.